Oh, okay. Oh, there's the little red light.
Okay, so you can you can go ahead and say your name right there.
Okay. Just right to the camera. Obviously, I guess
Yeah.
that would be
Or
make
talk
more
to me.
talk to you.
Whatever want.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nicholas Kirkstad. I'm the area coordinator for Heinz Knight and Commuter Life. I am from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. It's kind of by Pittsburgh. Most people don't know where that is. My undergrad was English and secondary education at Temple University. I also went to Temple for my master's in higher education administration.
Awesome. Good. So what do you like about your job?
There's a lot of things I like about my job. I really do get a connection with the students. I love the programming and I love the training that I do with the RAs and the commuter assistants. I really get to talk about different subjects and really kind of, I don't want to say infuse or make them think my way, but really challenge their way of thinking and challenge them to think different ways about not only diversity, but their own education and how they're spending their time here at Arcadia.
Cool. Okay. So what does your daily schedule look like? If you could say something.
It really depends on the day. My daily schedule is, I honestly never know. For the most part, on a quiet day, I would come in, have office hours where I'm sitting in here doing some office work, mostly going over guest room reservations, responding to emails, any concerns, maintenance concerns that are going on here at Heinz or in Knight Hall, as well as the commuter lounge. Then every now and then I'll have one-on-ones with my RAs. The one-on-one, it's a time set aside just for them so we can talk about anything that's going on in their life as well as on their hall and make sure they're doing well with their programming as well as keeping up to date with their bulletin boards and that they know what's going on in their residents' lives. As well as the commuters, because my commuter assistants, I do the same thing with them. Every now and then I'll have a meeting with the full staff meaning residents and commuter life here at Arcadia. We'll talk about multiple things, basically in regard to student concern, any incidents we may have had on campus over the previous week, how those incidents were handled, what we're going to be doing with them, with the students, especially in regards to having the hearings and talking to them about what they did wrong, what they could do in the future to not do anything wrong. Let's see. And then it really depends from there. Sometimes I'll have staff meetings at 10 o'clock at night. That's when we normally have our RACA staff meetings because that's the only time that there's no clubs or anything really going on. And then other nights it depends if I'm on call. I serve on an emergency on-call system. There's only 3 of us right now. Lee Ambrose, the housing coordinator, Alexa Horvat, the other area coordinator, and myself. What that means is we respond to a lot of different emergency situations here on campus. They can range anywhere from medical emergencies, like say someone is at a basketball game, they sprain their ankle. That's something we would respond to, seeing if they need an ambulance. As well as, fire alarms. That's a very common one. That's probably the most common, especially with burnt popcorn and Easy Mac when people don't put the water in. So we get the fire drills and fire alarms all the time. But they also range to some more serious things such as alcohol, big parties. Normally the RAs, we let them handle the smaller parties, but the big parties, that's normally when it comes to us, anything that involves a keg, anytime that the RA is not sure if the resident has had too much to drink and they may need to go to the hospital. Normally we're the ones that make that decision. We also deal with suicide ideation, anybody that's attempting suicide, unfortunately. Anywhere, and also in the realms of mental health. Fortunately, we do have an on-call counselor now that we can call and kind of connect with the students, but we're kind of the first line when it comes to anything like that. But yeah, depends on the day, because honestly, it could be really quiet or it could be, there's just so many things going on that we need to be looking at. Yeah. Yeah.
What do I want to ask next? Why did you choose to work at Arcadia?
Well, honestly, I was actually offered a job at Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh before I accepted the position at Arcadia. I think a big part of it, one, was it's in Philadelphia. I've been in Philadelphia now about 8 and 9 years, and I really do love this city. I have a lot of good friends here, and so I really wanted to stay close to them. But another big reason was Arcadia has that global commitment, and I know a lot of people will talk about the global commitment, but for my position, it really expanded my opportunities that I could have, such as taking students on a preview to London last year, or I guess that was technically, no, that was last year.
Yeah.
Oh geez, I'm still not ready for 2016. But just being able to do stuff like that, that's something I wouldn't have been able to do at Robert Morris University. And just having those opportunities, seeing like all the global connections, working with this new India initiative that's going to be happening, where we're going to be having students come over from India, and also a lot of the FISI, working with FISI students, how they go coming back from coming abroad, and how it's a little harder to get back into like the American lifestyle. So working with students on that, as well as we have a lot of international students here, people from all over the country. At Robert Morris, that would not have been possible. I wouldn't have had that interaction with students from, say, South Korea or anything like that. One of my commuter assistants, S.J. Bay, he was amazing. He's one of my favorite commuter assistants, and I would have never had the opportunity to have someone like him and work with someone like him had I not been here at Arcadia.
Okay. So, do you have any funny or favorite stories about your time here at Arcadia?
I do. Well, there's always something funny or weird, or Arcadia is a strange place, and it's a good thing. I'm glad Arcadia is a strange place. Temple, when I was there, it was pretty, I mean, it was a college experience, but it was nothing like here at Arcadia, especially because I get to deal and see all the background, like everything that's happening behind the scenes. I would say I was on call I was just on call. It was emergency on call. So we're on call for an entire week when we are on call. And I had a call about the smell of marijuana in one of my hallways. So I went to the hallway, knocked on someone's door, and when I came in, they were sitting there smoking marijuana, which was wonderful because they didn't answer the door, so I keyed in. And they just looked up like, what? But the funny thing was, like, the kid had a crossbow. He had like knives and all these things, and it seemed really crazy, but it was actually like he had a really good story. He showed me his costume of Daryl he was Walking Dead, I guess the week before. So, I mean, it made sense, but at the same time, it was a crossbow. And it's like some things you just don't think you're ever going to deal with, really. And it just so happened I had a crossbow in my office then for almost an entire year until he picked it up at the very end. But it was always a good conversation starter. Like, I'd have students come in, we'd talk and be like, why do you have a crossbow in your office? But yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Funny things. It was kind of funny when the students put the soap in the pond. However, it did a lot of damage to the fountain and the mechanics that go into working the water feature over by, what is that, Brubaker? Yeah, Beasley Brubaker. It's all over there. Something like that. But yeah, there's always something. One of my first incidents here was actually a student who was coming around the corner and crashed into that really old bridge over as you're going around Arcadia, and she was like, oh, I didn't want to hit a squirrel, so instead you hit a 150-year-old bridge, and I think I had to pay an astronomical amount of money to have that fixed. But it doesn't sound like that should be funny, but all of these things, it's an experience. It's it's something I learned from. It's something I never thought I would be dealing with, and every day there's always something that I'm like, where did this come from? I don't know. To me, it's funny.
That's great. Okay. So, I know that in orientation, this past orientation, you were in the scary roommate story group, and you
Yes.
told some stories of your own. Would you care to share some of them?
As having a roommate? Yeah, sure. So when I lived on campus, pretty much I've actually lived on campus for the last 8-9 years. I lived on campus, then I was an RA, then I was an RC, and now I'm an AC, so I've always been living on campus. But my first year, I had one roommate who was a drumming major, and he was good. He was really good. And at first it wasn't too bad. I put on my headphones, listen to music. He had these pads that he would practice on for hours a day. But then after like 2 weeks, it became pretty unbearable. And so I was not the best roommate. I may have unscrewed some of the pads every now and then to be like, oh, I don't know what happened. And he'd have to rearrange all of the pads, and I wasn't too bad to him. He was actually pretty good. And then he ended up transferring to go. He didn't get into Temple for being a drum major, and he transferred to, I think, Philly U for doing drums. But then my second roommate, he was something else. He was a film major, which was great. However, he would stay up at night, morphing himself into demons on the computer. And this would be like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And that was pretty bad. He was a very interesting character. Not the nicest. He had actually gotten put in my room because he hit his last roommate. So I was thrilled having him as a roommate, and may have done some pretty bad stuff. Not bad stuff, but like I pulled a lot of pranks on him, and whenever because he would always sleep during the day and then be awake all night. So I'd make sure I'd be as loud as possible during the day, because I'm like, this is when you're supposed to be awake. Because he wasn't very quiet when it was 3 or 4 in the morning. I'm trying to think what else. But it wasn't horrible, but it was definitely an experience, and it's something I wouldn't want to repeat. And then I had a set of roommates. I went to an apartment-style living the next year, so I was in a suite with 7 other guys. And the building that we were in was scheduled to be remodeled, so my roommates took it upon themselves to punch as many holes in the wall as possible, mostly with a soccer ball. So by the end, there was about 30, 40 holes all over our apartment. And yeah, that was pretty wonderful, especially when the resident director came and was like, what the hell did you all do? And I was like, I didn't do any of this. And they actually stuck up and they were like, Nick didn't actually do any of this. But they ended up not getting charged because the building got remodeled. So I was a little mad about that, but at the same time, I've had some interesting roommate experiences. But yeah.
That's great. Good. Let's see. I have one more question.
Sure.
So, you're still the advisor for Pride, right?
I am.
Okay, so what do you like about Pride as a club?
Having Pride as a club, when I went to Temple University, we had the Queer Student Union, and being someone who, at the time, I wasn't really comfortable with who I was. I am a gay man, and it took me a while to come to terms with that. And it was a club like the Queer Student Union that really allowed me to see, oh, okay, there's other people out there that have these same feelings I do. Because coming from a small town in Johnstown, my expectation of someone being gay was, the feather-wearing boa on the Pride parade, screaming and prancing about, which, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just, it wasn't who I was, so I couldn't be gay. And it wasn't until I went to the Queer Student Union at Temple that I found, oh, there's other people like me. And there I met someone who introduced me to the Philadelphia Flag Football League, the GPFFL. It's the Greater Philadelphia Flag Football League, and it's a gay-straight league that promotes awareness as well as togetherness, like not just excluding, straight people or excluding lesbians or anything like that. Like, everyone was welcome. Like, I've met so many wonderful people there. And if it wasn't for that experience, I don't know where I would be in my life, if I would even be in higher education had I not come out. So being able to take over the Pride here at Arcadia, it's been great. Like I'm going to be honest, I haven't done all that much. The new president has done a really great job getting more people together, building these really great sessions throughout the year. So I definitely want to thank her for all her work. But it's more so like if there's any problems going on in the club, that's what I'm there for. I know there was some tension at the beginning of the year due to how the club was run last year. And basically it was getting through those problems, working on making sure it was inclusive as possible. And that's really what I do love about working with Pride.
Pride's great. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. That's all the questions I have.
Okay. Could we actually redo the funny one? Because
Yeah,
I think I shouldn't talk about the bow or the weed
Okay.
or any of that. I can talk about Mr.
Yeah,
Beaver
I
if you
can
want.
take that out.
Okay. Yeah, because thinking back on that, like, I probably shouldn't talk about these things. I mean, if you want to put them in there, that's fine. It's not going to get me in trouble because I didn't say anyone's
I'm
names.
not showing it to anyone else in my class.
Okay.
It's up to
Probably.
You. It's up to you. whether
Yeah,
you want
well,
to-
yeah, let's not do that one. We'll do, I have another one, Mr. Beaver. So what was the question again?
Do you have any
just
funny stories?
funny stories,
that you
okay.
have here?
So I was offered to be a judge at the Mr. Beaver contest my first year. Being new here, I was only here for like maybe 3 months at the time. I didn't really know anything about it. I just knew it was a male, I don't want to say beauty pageant, but like it was a pageant sort of competition for guys. And I didn't know what to expect. And I came into it, I dressed up. It was like, oh, this is great. Everybody was, having a great time. And then people were coming out, the contestants in drag, and I wasn't ready for that. They were like, oh, you'll see what it is when you get there. Like, no one would tell me what it is. But everyone was in drag, and it was an interesting experience. Some guys who never should wear a dress were wearing dresses and swimsuits, and I saw a lot of things I didn't really want to see. I think the person that won sang the popular song from Wicked, and he actually did a really good job, and which is the reason he won. But he was wearing this pink tube top dress, and he's a big guy like me, and it's like some people just shouldn't wear a dress ever. And he was dancing around, prancing on stage, singing popular, and I think I lost it. It was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. And just the entire Mr. Beaver competition, it's a funny, hilarious experience, and as long as people don't take it too seriously, because some people do, but I think that was the funniest thing that I can remember here at Arcadia.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Beaver.
Yeah, it's always interesting.
Always.
Always. But